Happy Friday to everyone. Well, I guess it's not really. Geez, I did not plan this intro. It's maybe not the world. If you're in America, it's probably not the happiest Friday you've ever had. But hopefully we can turn that around with a little bit of best ball action. Shout out to our people in Ontario that have been waiting, the Spike Week Discord members that have been waiting to fill a drafters draft to get your best ball fix today. I'm joined by the one and only Davis Mattek. We're going to hop into a drafters best ball championship, $1 million prize pool, cumulative scoring, very fun format. Excited to get into this. And we're also going to give away a free ticket into this contest. So let's hop in. All right, Davis, how's this interesting Friday? I guess I'll call it an interesting Friday. How is it going for you?
I mean, at least that's a Friday, right?
Yeah.
At least when you are living in a prequel to A Handmaid's Tale, at least it's Friday, So I guess we have that going for us, and I actually prefer the drafters format. Honestly, I truly think the drafters format is more skill based. Like if I could have $2 million to top in a playoff format or a cumulative format, I would say cumulative is more skill based. So I love cranking these out. I'm pumped for it, man.
Yeah, we talked a lot last year, obviously, and I remember you saying that fairly often that you kind of prefer the cumulative. Have you been firing a lot more? How have you been kind of approaching? Have you been trying to fire as much? Drafters, as we know, feels a little bit slower sometimes. Hopefully, we can help out with that today. But Paul V is actually here saying it's 9 of 12, so I am going to hop in right away so we don't miss it. so we don't miss it. But have you been, you're the early morning cardio bro and all that. Have you been able to get in any drafters in the mornings?
So that is why it doesn't work out for me as well to hop in these, because I'm getting in these when best ball manias are not even filling it 6 o'clock in the morning Central Time,
Right.
So, I mean, I joined them honestly right around this time, around noon, because I have 2-3 hours to sit around. I'll hop in one. I'll probably try to get to 50 entries in drafters. I'm firing at it, and if it looks like it's overlaying, week before the season, my eyes are going to be so bleeding by then. It's I'm feeling not super burnt out on drafting right now, but a little, I'm feeling it a little bit, and I'm just dude, by fucking August 15th, I'm just going to be oh my God, I'm clicking Javonte Williams again. All right, let's do it.
That is so true. That's how I feel. It's Trey Lance. I went on a DraftKings run for a little while, and that was the ADP so bad there. At least on Underdog and on Drafters too. I don't know how I would compare it to Underdog, but it's not an inefficient market. It's at least relatively efficient. The people on Drafters have a clue of what they're doing. And so I'm at least clicking some different names and doing some different things in drafters drafts. But on DraftKings, just Trey Lance is going at pick 115 and I have him, 60th overall or whatever. I just keep, you just keep clicking the same names over and over and it gets really boring. But I also really like, to your point, the cumulative thing, moving back and forth. I like it. It is a refresher a little bit to, honestly,
if for no other reason than that I'm not just clicking the same dudes rounds 13 through 20, I started my draft with, I got Ayuk and Carr, so I know I'm taking X, Y, and Z. Oh, this is a Mahomes MVS draft, so I know I'm taking Tim Patrick and Albert O and Hamler. I took Daniel Jones, so that means I'm taking Daniel Pierce. I took Tony, so that means, that actually, again, going back to the skill bit, your player takes are more likely to get paid off in the cumulative format, basically.
Yeah, I like that too, because I mean, the player stuff is more fun. I spend most of my time talking about all the other shit, but that's because
Player takes are way more fun.
so much more fun. Who doesn't love? I was telling this story. I'm actually interested. So we only need two more. If you're watching, we need two people to fill this draft, and I'll get into the giveaway in just a second. But I was talking on is this week or last week or something, where I was like, I will never forget for the rest of my life. It was the second preseason game for the Tennessee Titans this year, because I was so overexposed to Darrington Evans, and he's starting that game. I was sitting in this chair right here watching this TV that's above me right here, and like losing my mind. Like he ripped off like a 15-yard run to start the game, and I like stood up and got excited. And I'm like rage tweeting, going nuts over it, because like the player thing is like that. You're like, you've obviously Darrington didn't work, but at that moment in time, I'm like, fuck yes, I was right about this dude. You know what I mean?
Yep,
but like
100%.
being right about zero running back or robust running back or whatever like that, like we're here to, it is fun. I'm trying to have fun doing this too. And the player thing is just so much more fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no doubt about it. It's just more fun, right? It's more fun when Tony Pollard, it turns into prime Marshall Falk or whatever, and you're or when the Greg Dulcich false flag operation is unearthed for what it actually is, and Alberto scores 10 touchdowns. Like, I mean, the ultimate player take thing is Taysom on Underdog,
I love this.
where if Taysom starts like 4 games at quarterback, I'm going to be like, yeah, Leone, your fucking spreadsheets didn't show that Taysom is the man, So the Taysom one is like the most interesting thing, because it's like I've gone back and forth on it like 7 times. Like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. It's a hacker. You're just drafting 30% of this guy who's like a dog to get one scoring week for you.
Right. So we are picking 7th while we're waiting for this to go. If you're watching, we are going to give away a free ticket into this drafters tournament. Obviously, we're drafting on this format, so we're pumping it a little bit. But I have started to move a little bit more towards Davis's side of things. Maybe it's just because the toxicity of like week 17 Twitter and all of that is like ruining my brain. But I have really started to love what is available to us on drafters. And so I'm trying to bring more people into the ecosystem. So we are going to give away a free, you have to be watching right now, obviously. We're going to give away a free ticket. I am posting in the chat a link to a Google Doc. All you have to do, it's the most basic Google Doc of all time. Put your name in the column that says name. Okay? Put your name in the column that says name. At the end, we'll spin the wheel, and whoever wins will get a free ticket. I'll contact you. I will contact you to get your free ticket. And if I don't contact you, please harass me on Twitter, or harass Davis, and then he'll harass me.
I won't. I promise you. I promise you, everyone. If you're watching this and you harass me to get you your ticket, I promise you, I will do absolutely nothing with that information. It'll be like asking David Kitchen for a Fantasy Insider shirt. Like, that information is just falling on deaf ears.
I have one Fantasy Insider shirt myself, and you could get one quicker from me than you could from.
You could get one quicker for me. I have like a stack I've been like meaning to do like a giveaway with, like just like run like some Twitter thing to promote the Swolecast. And that you'd be much more likely to get one from me than from David.
100%. You'd be more likely just to get a response from you than from David. This is really funny. It's funny to watch the Google Doc update in real time with a bunch of people in there, because there's like all these blanks. Like someone's updating like row 14, but like all these other rows are not getting updated. The shit that I'm fascinated by. But Josh brings up, I love this. I guess we're on the clock. We'll get to this in a second, Josh. Who are you typically taking here, Davis, after the big
Eckler.
5 are gone? Eckler? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down.
It's exactly this. I did one with Liam the other day, and I was in the exact same spot.
Wait,
I was 6th, and I took Eckler.
What? Eckler went second.
Oh, he went second. Oh, we're 7th.
Okay.
We're 7th.
We're 7th.
Dalvin is who I would take.
Okay. I'm down for Dalvin. Also, this is a big thing also for me that I really like about drafters is I do get exposure to guys that like for me personally, I know we differ on this a little bit. I'm not really taking Dalvin Cook, not because I don't see the case or whatever. It's just like part of my strategy revolves around different guys than Dalvin Cook, like on Underdog.
Right.
But like here, it's like, dude, if Dalvin just cooks for even like 7 or 8 weeks, like he's super valuable. Like he's real. I mean, he was the 102 last year, and now you're getting him. I mean, we took him 7th, but you're getting him late 1st. That has a lot of value here, but it's just so much of a different game here than it is on the other sides, and I really like that.
Yeah, and it sounds like his legal stuff is gonna go away. So I mean, that's really the only reason I can think of that he would be going behind Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah, 100%. He
Yeah,
actually catches passes. He's on what should be a better offense.
and
He's 4 years younger.
the other thing I like about, I mean, it's such a simple thing, but like the other thing I really like about this, let's take, what are the wide receivers like here? Debo's gone, so it's Tyreek. Oh, Evans, easy.
Okay. You like Evans over like Lenny and Saquon?
Yeah,
I don't really like.
We just took Dalvin.
So you prefer to go to the you don't how are you structuring a lot of your teams? Are you double tapping running back at all, or how are you kind of approaching that from a structure perspective on drafters?
So it depends on where you pick, obviously. Like I think double tapping running back when you're at 10, 11, 12, where you can go Dalvin and DeAndre Swift or Aaron Jones or whatever, that makes sense. But we should get a running back we like in round 3 here. Could be Connor, could be Elliott, Montgomery, round 4, which I think is fine in the cumulative scoring format. Actually very similar to the playoff format where just those guys are going to grind you out 15 a week. But the running backs do go a little bit quicker on drafters than they do on Underdog. So I don't hate taking Fournette or Saquon there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Nick in the 11 spot here, double tapped Swift and Najee. That's pretty nice. But then you also have, it's really interesting because I really love the Diggs Devontae pairing. I really like both the Swift Najee pairing. It's like you can see the different ways that you can build teams. We'll see like what these guys get. But I also like, even still in the drafters format, I like having the flexibility that the running back wide receiver start like you said, if I pull up running back here, that's quarterback. If I pull up running back and Connor is there or something, we can take him. If he's not, it's okay. And we'll have Mike Williams or Pittman or DJ Moore or something like that. And you can just keep staying flexible, but you start to get pressured into things on drafters. And the structure, I don't want to say it matters more, but needing points in week 1 and week 1 through 4 or 5 or whatever,
100%.
pressures you into things that does, like on Underdog, dude. Sometimes I won't take a running back to like round 10 or 11, just like because it doesn't matter. Like it's just such a different game. I just can't do that here. You're gonna. It's a waste of $20.
Right. I mean, yeah. Like if you are just locked out of running back in this, like or locked out of wide receiver, like you don't get a top guy, like you're toast. So maybe a slight tactical error here, taking the wide receiver because AJ Brown, who is in the same tier as Mike Evans, is still available for us. AJ Brown or ETN or Pitts would be who I would take here.
AJ, wait, hold on. Am I missing something?
He just went right before. He went right. Okay.
So Mike Williams, I'm gonna cue Mike Williams. Do you prefer Mike Williams to Pitts?
So Mike Williams sets us up to take Herbert, obviously, and like giga stacking teams, I think is really good in this format.
Yeah, I like that too. Last year, it's funny because even on Underdog last year, a site that is less beneficial to doing that, like all the like regular season highest scoring teams were just like monster bucks on slots. Because it was like the cost all lined up well. And the Chargers are a little bit different than that, but still fairly similar. Actually, the Bucks, we have Mike Evans. The Bucks actually set up, we won't have Lenny, but you could do something with like Rashad White, where it sets up to do the same thing again this year with some of these offenses where just like, dude, give me all the points. And when it's full point PPR, you're just when a team throws 45 times, you're accumulating so many freaking points that it just racks up so fast. And when Tom Brady never throws a goddamn incompletion or takes a sack like that, that matters.
Yeah, and they're also Liam made this point to me, which like obviously is true, but I just hadn't thought through, which is that when you score like when the Buccaneers put up 55 against the Panthers some week, like that holds for you all year long. Like in a cumulative format, it doesn't really matter in week 10 if Lenny gets 47. It helps your advance rate, but it doesn't, in the end matter, which is like why like super stacks of the Chiefs, super stacks of the Cowboys, super stacks of the Broncos. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening with them. But these teams that are just going to score like 40 plus points in single games multiple times throughout the year you're like padding your stats really.
Definitely 100%. What are you thinking when you get to this tier? So I've been taking a little bit of Cam Akers. I do like, I like George Kittle here. I like Cortland Sutton.
Herbert's gone.
Yes.
Yeah. I would take Montgomery or Akers here.
I think I prefer Akers if you're down.
I'm good with that.
I've recently. What's your take on Akers? I do think I prefer him on drafters. Again, it's kind of the same thing where I'm just strategy wise. These are the types of running backs that are really fragile that I avoid a little bit more on the playoff formats. But again, here on drafters and even in general, honestly, when's the last time we got a projected close enough to a workhorse running back on the Rams Sean McVay offense in the 4th round? Like it just hasn't happened before because he came back too early. If he never came back, would he be going earlier or later if he never came back last year? But he came back and looked bad.
Well, the wrinkle in time there that makes that impossible to answer is if he never comes back, they probably keep Michelle on the roster.
Yeah,
just,
true.
Just because they wouldn't have had the evidence that he could be out there. So you'd want a veteran guy like that on the roster just in case. And I mean, honestly, Michelle and Henderson were both fine enough. I think that's the other thing that's playing into it is Henderson was good, but he what did he get hurt like 4 times, literally?
Yes.
And Michelle was fine until the playoffs, and then there was no room. Like he couldn't do anything in the playoffs, so he's fine in the regular season. So I think that's another thing that's playing into it is the market doesn't have a ton of conviction that he actually is going to be the workhorse that those guys were.
What do you think? How are you?
I'm taking Henderson. So I'm taking Henderson, one, because I slightly prefer Breece and ETN to Akers. So a lot of the times I am just taking those guys instead of him when I need a running back. But then, I mean, Henderson could just be the better running back, right? I
think he might be the better running back, but I also am not sure that Sean McVay gives a shit.
Which I don't think he does. I think it's one. I mean, injuries are going to frustrate a coach just as much as it's going to frustrate a fantasy player. I think. Like, how annoying is that McVay spends all week working on these game plans, and then Montgomery or Henderson leaves with an injury in the 3rd quarter, and he's got to throw Buddy Howell and
Jake Funk is coming in the game.
Yeah, and so that's got to be super obnoxious for him. But the big concern with Akers would be if what happens in the Super Bowl happens in the regular season, which was Akers didn't play on 3rd downs in the Super Bowl. Henderson did.
And Henderson looked awesome, which is really funny because in college he was largely just a grinder. He wasn't a grinder.
Well, Pollard was the 3rd down back.
And Pollard and Gibson played with him, and they were the passing down guys. I mean, Gibson had to move to receiver because he played with Pollard and Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson averaged like 8 yards a carry.
And Patrick Taylor and Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah.
Five NFL running. It was the 2018 Memphis team where 5 NFL running backs all got carries.
That was so fun. If you play college football DFS, you'll remember that team. And their defense was horrible, and they played at the fastest pace in the nation. So it was really fun. What do you do here with Mahomes? Are you
smash it? Yeah.
I was gonna say, because the really fun thing about Mahomes is also similar to Josh. I promise we'll get back to your question on Week 17, but like that game is so appealing on the other sites from a Week 17 perspective because like if Mahomes falls, there's multiple stacking options available to you later for him. And the same thing with Russell Wilson. You can like never get locked out of that game. And so, but that's what makes Mahomes awesome in this format too, when he falls to the middle of the 5th round, is that dude, MVS is there. Sky
literally
is there.
all 4 of his wide receivers go after him, which is
Right.
I was talking with Karain about this yesterday. I think it'll be the only time in Mahomes' career where you were able to select his top wide receiver after his ADP. I don't think we'll ever.
100%.
And I don't know if it's going to be Sky next year. I don't know if they'll trade for someone. I don't know if they'll spend a first-round pick on wide receiver. But my guess is this will be the only time in his career where this is the way ADP shakes out. Or maybe the only time he is the quarterback 4 in ADP, right?
Yeah. He's been the quarterback 1 or 2. That's
every year. Yeah. And he people discount it a little bit, but he does run. Like he does similar to like peak Rodgers, where like every year he's giving you, let's see, 381, 308, 218. He's had 2 rushing touchdowns every year of his career, which is I think Joe Burrow run for like 4 touchdowns last year, like super randomly.
Right. And no yards at all.
Yeah, but I've seen these takes. I've seen these takes flying out there like Burrow should go ahead of Mahomes, and it's like, to me, Burrow is the worst ADP on the board in terms of what I expect. I also said this to Karain yesterday. Like he's like just kind of like fancy Kirk Cousins to me.
Yeah, I mean,
he's better. He's better than that, but
worse. But he has better weapons. Justin Jefferson, I love, but better ancillary weapons. All right, back on the clock. We have Patrick Mahomes, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. So we're completely wide open with what we can do. What do you like?
If we didn't have a quarterback, I would say Schultz to set up the Dak. But I think we take Elijah Moore here. I
agree. That's what I was hoping you were gonna say. I didn't want to have to like in 3 seconds make an Elijah Moore case, but I feel like he's not underpriced.
I think he's underpriced. I think he should go where McLaurin goes.
I like that take.
What's the functional difference between these two? I think you could maybe even argue that Elijah Moore has a better quarterback, honest to God.
Sample size. That's it.
Yeah.
McLaurin has done it as like a target dominator, air quotes target dominator, over an entire actual NFL season or multiple actual NFL seasons. And Elijah Moore is on a similarly bad offense or projected bad offense that we only saw it for like spurts, but the spurts we saw, the dude was incredible. He was absolutely incredible, but like he has the Jets stink on him. You know what I mean?
But I'm kind of excited about the Jets.
I know, me too. If here's my, I want to hear your Jets take, but my general take on these kinds of situations is people are like, well, but Zach Wilson stinks. And I'm like, yeah, probably. It's kind of like the Daniel Jones thing.
It's literally the exact same, except the Jets might have better players.
But they have well, now the Giants at least have Dayball. But like they have good coaching and there's weapons everywhere. If Zach Wilson stinks, it's literally because Zach Wilson is like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. He is set up for success. If he's like a little below average, like what's a below? If he's Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, Teddy is like good for guys in fantasy because he completes a bunch of passes. The issue with Zach Wilson is if he's bad like
Baker, like last year.
Yeah, where he's just like firing these horribly inaccurate passes all over the place, and they can't sustain any drives, right?
Yeah,
Fitzpatrick is always the model for this, where he's a below average real life quarterback, but he's super good for fantasy because he sustains drives.
Yeah. But it's like the barrier to entry for a good Elijah Moore season is literally just like below average play from Zach Wilson. So lots of quarterbacks on the board here. We're not taking C.
I got Hawk.
Okay.
Or Burks here.
Definitely Hawk for me. We should talk about Treylon Burks a little bit. I haven't been taking him a lot. Curious on your take on him because he is starting to fall, and I'm starting to get interested.
I was talking with Karain about this yesterday, but if we get like 9th round the doomsday scenario I painted for him was it's week 2 of the preseason, and the Titans say Burks isn't available. He had an asthma attack or something. It's like immediate 11th round pick. Like no one's gonna want him. And that's going to be the time, because you kind of have to game stuff out like that. So you're not ending up with like, if you're drafting a guy, if you like his cost anyway, and then he falls 2 rounds, you're just going to you're going to have 40% of that guy, basically.
Yeah, 100%. Really quick before we get back on the clock we have a bunch of people have shown up in the last 10 or so minutes. If you didn't see in the chat, I'm posting it again. The link to the doc at the end of the show. We're going to give away a free ticket to this drafters tournament. Just go in and in the first column there, put your name in, and you'll get a free entry. If you enter your name twice, you will be banned from best ball. I'll contact Underdog and drafters.
That's it for you. You're done.
We'll ban your account. That's how I feel about Burks though too. Like I'm not even sure if I've taken him on any site yet, but it was kind of because I didn't see a way. I don't know how you felt about this. I didn't see a way in which he could really get much more expensive, but there were a ton of avenues which we're seeing. Asthma wasn't the one I expected. I didn't expect him to not be able to breathe as being the reason he fell, but I saw a lot of reasons as to why he could move down a little bit in ADP.
Yeah. I mean, I just assumed that general Titan stink would be the reason that he came down, but I'm like very bullish on him. I think he is going to be. I think he's going to be good. I mean, I don't think he's I don't think he's Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, but could he be rookie year CeeDee Lamb? I mean,
baby AJ Brown, right? Like just be super efficient, super good with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
So we're set up to go anywhere here. 3 wide receivers. We have Mahomes. I guess eventually we need to start looking for Mahomes stacks. But
yeah, what do we got for MVS and Sky?
I'm putting MVS in the queue. He's about 10th or 12th. And the issue is it's a lot of quarterbacks in front of him.
Let's take MVS. Let's take MVS. Yeah, just because we'd be hating it if we had to go with Hardman as our guy. Yes,
and I know maybe it's because do you get this experience too on Twitter when you tweet about certain things, or maybe I'm just easily triggered or something. Like I write about a player or stream about a player. Like MVS is one of my guys this year. Like if you had to create a group of 10 guys or whatever, MVS is one of them.
I think he's my most drafted player.
Like I'm like all in MVS. And so I see, the Twitter recommends to me, these fantasy football tweets or whatever. It's always people shitting on MVS. And like it pisses me off so much because I'm just like, dude, this guy is a free roll. You cannot lose with MVS. Like that's the guy I want.
It's the free bet from FanDuel when you deposit $1,000. Yeah.
So you same game parlay it. You same game parlay that free roll, and it if it misses, who gives a shit? Because you profited before, right? With your deposit bonus or whatever was the profit, and they just gave you this free bet. Like that's MVS. I know 100% certainty. Okay, 90 assuming health, 95% certainty. He's going to provide, especially in this format, he's going to provide you 3 weeks guaranteed where he just crushes. He's probably your wide receiver 1. Maybe he's useless in the rest of them, but there is a scenario where he's like the second most critical part of the offense to Travis Kelce. That is a realistic scenario. I don't know how real it is, but it's in there. It's in the range of outcomes.
Yeah. I mean, and we're already getting the hype train starting early, right? We're already getting, MVS is running all these routes and stuff, but it's like someone has to run the deep routes in this offense. Not only, by the way, not only that Tyreek is vacating, but that Demarcus Robinson is vacating.
Yep.
So I just don't foresee a scenario where MVS is healthy and he's not out there like 80 to 85% of the snaps for Kansas City. I guess the doomsday scenario for MVS is that Justin Ross is healthy and actually really good, and he plays over him. That's really it, I think.
Call me crazy, but if my doomsday scenario for my 8th round wide receiver on the best offense and with the best quarterback in the NFL is a dude who hasn't played for 3 years and like 3 of 32 NFL teams cleared him to even like play. Like he went undrafted because NFL teams were like, you should not play football, dude. Your life is in jeopardy. Like if that guy is the thing that prevents this guy in the 8th round from succeeding, I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that risk.
I agree. I think you are correct in your assessment there.
All right, so we got the Chiefs stack. We're very flexible. Sky
What's
is available.
What's our second? Oh, we need a running back. We need CPAT or Edmonds here, I think.
How do you have those guys? Do you have a preference?
I'm jamming CPAT, and I think he's better in this format because I expect that at the end of the year, he's 31. So I'm expecting Patterson to actually kind of start this year like he started last year, where like people are scratching their heads like this guy. Oh, Donovan makes a good point. I literally forget that Pringle is gone too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also super fast down the field wide receiver. People forget that Tyreek became, obviously he still made big plays.
The short guy though.
He was the second short guy to Kelsey. Obviously check downs to the running back, but he was like the second short to intermediate guy to the running backs because Robinson and McColl's incompetent. Pringle runs a 4.3.
He's so incompetent.
He's so bad. He can't even take screens.
This is actually wild. Pringle started out the year as a stone backup and ended up only playing like 40 less snaps than Hardman.
Only 40 less?
He played.
I would not have guessed that.
So he played 586 snaps, which is like almost 50%. He played more snaps than Darrell, more snaps than Clyde, and doubled up the backup. So if you add up the backup tight ends of Blake Bell and Noah Gray, he doubled them up. And I'm easy MVS over Sky. Look, I love Sky. I think he's going to be good, but I mean his range of outcomes is like, you know, they're playing Josh Gordon over him.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and same thing. I like him, and we have to pay for ceiling nowadays. It's not 2016 where we get to draft these.
Yeah, like Best Ball Mania 1, Sky Moore would be going in the 14th round.
Yeah, exactly. Justin Jefferson went in like the 17th round or whatever. Like that shit doesn't exist anymore. You got to pay for upside. What do you like here?
What's our secondary stack at quarterback looking like? I guess we're only set up to take Zach Wilson.
Goff and Zach Wilson.
Probably either Penny or one of these wide receivers.
I'm cool with Penny.
Yeah, I don't love Christian Watson.
No, I don't love Christian Watson at all. And maybe that's a blind spot. How are you? The Packers are another good one. The Packers and the Chiefs both with so much turnover that they have. Obviously, one team traded Tyreek Hill, the other one Devontae Adams. So there's like a ton of turnover. How are you handling the Packers? They've actually been a lot of almost a lot of a stay away for me outside of the running backs. And I do take Robert Tonyan, but like I feel like the Packers have so many wide receivers.
They have 7 wide receivers with an ADP, which I think it's got to be the most of any team.
And everyone expects them to sign like a Julio or something like that too. So now we're talking about 8 potential guys. Half of them are old as shit, and then the other half are rookies. There's like no, or Amari Rodgers. There's like no in between, right? It's so weird. How are you? Are you drafting some of them, or what's your approach?
So when I take a Vikings player, when I take a Dalvin or an Irv Smith or an Alexander Madison or whatever, I just take one of Dubes or Cobb, depending on the structure of the team. If it's a team that doesn't, like if I haven't taken, 2 rookie wide receivers or one of the guys who's injured, to start the year, like a Godwin or something, I'll take Dubes. If it's a team that just might need 12 points 3 times, I take Randall Cobb.
Yeah, it's funny. Shout out to Hacker is his name in our Discord. He also is a huge piece of the Spike Week team building some of these tools that we're building, and he's been ringing the bell for Randall Cobb. And I'll say both of you guys have me like at least remotely interested.
Aaron Rodgers is the biggest dickhead in the league. He will only throw you the ball if he likes you. I believe James Jones scored 15 touchdowns at the age of 30.
It was a million touchdowns.
I'm gonna fact check myself. He was 28 and he scored 14 touchdowns on 98 targets.
Jesus Christ. So, but to that point, everybody keeps saying like, "Oh, is it Dubes? Is it Sammy Watkins? Is it?"
Sammy is. I would love.
Are you drafting Sammy? Are you drafting Sammy?
What? You can't get even on a guy if you stop drafting him. You know,
Are you
it's
saying
like,
I have to draft Darrington Evans now in the 18th round and pray he makes the Bears
I was
roster?
gonna say, is he even on a team?
He's on the Bears. He's gonna get cut, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we take a tight end here. This is a little early.
I mean, Rashad White, I like.
Yeah.
Carr and Fields.
No, Alberto. I didn't realize his ADP was so early here.
Okay, so then we take Alberto and we're done at tight end.
Yes.
Because we have Hawk and Alberto, which are two pretty fun.
Check and make sure they don't have the same bye week.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I haven't done that math.
6 and 9. Actually, it's even better. TJ Hawkinson has bye week 6 and Alberto has bye week 9. So they combine for the 69 bye week. And I think that's a projection boost. The people are not really happy in the chat about this MVS and Sky stuff. They're also not happy about Elijah Moore. Garrett Wilson is a better pick.
Is that? I mean, Elijah Moore was really good last year.
He was awesome.
But so like I get this logic of like they were both top picks, but Garrett Wilson was a little bit higher pedigree. Garrett Wilson is also the better fit in 2 wide receiver sets. So there's like a world where Elijah Moore is playing 65% of the snaps because he's only in when they're in 3 wide receivers. Like, I get it. The thing is like, it's actually a great lesson because we just watched the NBA draft last night where it's like, you look at these guys and you're like, holy shit, Chet Holmgren could be the greatest player of all time. But if Oklahoma City traded if they could have got Malcolm Brogdon for the 2 or whatever, they might have just done it. Because just having seen a guy be good in the league that you're wanting him to be good in, that is worth something because it's like Garrett Wilson it could be anything, even a boat,
Yes, 100%. I'm glad you brought up the NBA thing. We'll get past NBA for you non-NBA fans really quickly. But I was for anyone familiar, OG Anunoby was being floated as a
that was a better example. Yeah,
and it was like I was listening to pods and they were like, I don't know, OG Anunoby would like go in the top 3 of this draft, and people were like, "Will they trade him for the 7th?"
He would go. He would win.
He's the best player. He's the best player in this draft, and they're like, "Should you trade the 7th overall pick for OG?" And it's like, why would the Raptors trade him? Yeah, it's the same thing as the Jets. Like there is upside to the uncertainty around Garrett Wilson, and I like Garrett Wilson. I'm drafting Garrett Wilson.
100%.
But Elijah Moore has established himself in the NFL as a certain like. I think it was Reeves that said this. Well, hold on. We'll double back to this because I do not want to auto draft Gronk.
We need.
I'm just gonna hit some guys here.
I think Dameon Pierce or I don't like.
Can we do Isaiah?
I don't like Spiller, but it's fine.
Oh, okay.
It's good.
Right, we're gonna talk about that in a second. Yeah, we're gonna take Isaiah Spiller. But I think it was Reeves or someone. Maybe I'm literally just giving this to shout out to Lord Reeves, Rich Rebar. I think he said this years ago, and it has stuck with me forever. Where it's like when you prove a certain like skill, like you do something,
you own that skill set.
You own it. Yes.
Yeah. That is
Elijah
Reeves.
Moore. Elijah Moore approved a certain level of play, and now he owns that level of play. It is obviously up to the Jets and Zach Wilson to continue to support him to be able to do these kinds of things, but he has proven to be a certain level of player, right?
Yes.
And going
100%.
back to the basketball comparison, it's like OG Anunoby is like bordering on star level basketball player. You're drafting these other guys, Garrett Wilson, you're drafting that versus like Chet Holmgren, to hope that they become more than that, right? You want superstardom, but
yes.
I can already get the star. like it's like what the way the cost benefit analysis of this guy has the potential to be a superstar, but this one's already a star. So like I'll just take the already a star now and just run with that profit right away. And that's kind of how I feel about Elijah Moore.
I mean, 100%. Like he has already shown us he can get open in the NFL. He's the New York Jets Debo. I mean, he scored 2 rushing touchdowns last year.
He's so good, dude.
Yeah,
I'm also biased.
He's really good.
I'm also really, 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 really biased because I play a lot of college football DFS, and Ole Miss has been a cheat code with Lane Kiffin for many years.
Right. Yeah.
And Elijah Moore was, in my opinion, that his last year at Ole Miss, he was probably the best player in college football. Like Lane Kiffin crafted an offense around a 5'9", 180-pound wide receiver and threw him the ball 15 times a game, gave him the ball on jet sweeps, put him in the backfield, and Alabama couldn't stop him. No one could stop him. He was unguardable.
This is my same theory on Wandale, by the way, which is just like you put this dude up against. It's like I tweeted this to Denny Carter the other day. I was like, he might be slow, he might be small, but he defines got that dog in him. I mean, no one has more dog in them than Wandale Robinson, in my opinion.
I agree. If you're 5'8", 175 pounds playing running back and wide receiver in the SEC, that's probably a good thing.
We got to take Zach Wilson here.
Yep, I agree. Which pains me because
him and Mahomes, I think, might have the same bye week. I'm pretty sure they do. Actually, I think I've done this on Underdog before.
No, this is the bye week, correct? 8.
Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good.
I guess I should go to the roster. Yeah, bye week 8, bye week 10. Okay, good.
Okay, we're good. So yeah, Spiller. It's like. My guy, there we go. Wandale's combine times didn't make any sense to me because he just looks faster than that. That's all I got. I just am literally like
small man. It's the small man complex. You look really fast when your legs are going really.
Everyone has their biases, and it's important to be aware of them. And I am just extremely biased towards Wandale. I just think he's good. Yeah,
I get extremely. Elijah Moore is. Elijah Moore, Wandale. Wandale's probably my new version of Elijah Moore. Same thing. I love to get on here and talk about strategy and structure and correlation and all this bullshit. And like I do lean on that, obviously. Like on the other, this is why these drafts are so fun. Like you said, is because I get to be like, no, I know better. Elijah Moore is a fucking awesome football player.
And I don't have to take DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett or D Eskridge in the 18th round. You know,
I don't have to be like, okay, Noah Fant is an awesome screaming value here, catching passes from either Drew Lock or Baker Mayfield. Like I don't have to do any of that shit. I can just take the guys that I think are better, and I think it's a lot more fun this way. Let's see really quick. The people are also on Dulcich. The people are not on that.
These people have been misled by a false prophet. They have fallen, they are wandering through the desert, building golden idols. Corey Davis, right? Corey Davis or what's the running back situation look like? Oh, so, no, Corey Davis.
You prefer, we want the stack. Yeah. Do you lean on the double stack versus the Tolbert or David?
Rookies they're worse in this format.
Okay, let's stack it up then. You also have the benefit of the scenario in which, everybody keeps saying like, oh, Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis are going to play in 2 wide receiver sets on the outside. It's like, what if Elijah Moore is just their best goddamn football player? They're not going to take him off the field. And what if Garrett Wilson as a rookie
just struggles a little bit?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. And Corey Davis is not bad. I mean, do you remember last year preseason? 2 things from preseason last year that I will never forget. The Corey Davis hype, because his targets per route run with the first team was like Zach Wilson basically never threw to anybody else because Elijah Moore was hurt in the preseason. Corey Davis, like they would play like 12 snaps with the first team, and Corey Davis got like 8 targets. Or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that from the preseason last year. Yeah.
And so he was one of them. And it's like, we've just like forgot that Corey Davis exists because they drafted Garrett Wilson. And like, I mean, I prefer Garrett Wilson too, but like, what if the rookie is the one that's slow to come on and the guy who crushed last year, Elijah Moore, and the veteran are the guys who are like a little bit better? Like, why have we not planned for that scenario?
Well, also in this scenario, Corey Davis might be like pretty decent for the first 8 weeks of the season. And then Garrett Wilson is the guy, the guy you need in week 17. But Garrett Wilson's week 17 points are just a drop in the bucket here.
Right. That's the thing. I think some of those...
it's so hard to break that brain of needing the points later in the season. But the points in week 2 count the same as week 17 points in this format.
I know. And we're we still want the breakout candidates, but there's a balancing act.
You need them cheaper.
Yeah. Speaking of cheaper, we have a couple here.
I'm a
big Alec Pierce fan. I like George
Yeah,
Pickens.
you know who has the dog in him though.
George
If
Pickens.
Wandale has like one dog in him, Pickens has like 4 dogs in him.
Too many.
Pickens has too many dogs.
Too many dogs in him. I'm totally fine with George Pickens though. But this is the great point about all this is you can get Pierce. These aren't like David Bell is a little bit of a later round pick, but you can get second round wide receiver draft picks with opportunity. George Pickens probably starts in 3 wide receiver sets. Alec Pierce definitely starts in 3 wide receiver sets. You can get second round rookie wide receivers in the 15th round of these drafts and still have your cake and eat it too in terms of what we were just talking about. The cumulative format where like maybe Corey Davis is a little bit better in this format, but you still want to try to find the Justin Jefferson and Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra even last year, who was not very good for 10 weeks, still is really valuable in this format because anybody that can go for 5 weeks being the wide receiver 2 is really valuable. But like the cost and all that is more important in this format versus Underdog, where it's like, give me how many shots do I need to take to find Amon-Ra? I don't give a shit. I just want because all I got to do is finish top 2, and then I just want the playoff guys. You know, it's so different.
Yeah. No, I definitely think you're right. Are we taking Sammy here?
Fuck. I really like Robbie. I really like Robbie.
It's not even close though. We're talking about a guy who's going to be the number 2 for the Panthers versus a guy who could. If I told you that Watkins didn't lead the team in targets but led their wide receivers in targets, would you be floored? Would that be the most flooring thing in the world?
Okay, it's fine. Robbie got taken. Thank you. God bless you, Krause 13, because I did not want to have to take the guy that's going to get cut from.
No, dude. Rogers was asked about the wide receivers in training camp, and Watkins' name was the only guy he mentioned by name. He said.
I didn't read that one.
I'll go find it for you.
Yeah.
Because I was worried by that too. You know, Best Ball Mania, what did it open up on? April, May
like 7th or something like that.
So, you know, whatever, you know, and I'm smashing Watkins then because he was a round 18 pick or whatever. And it got like, I did 20 drafts and Watkins was my most drafted player. And I was like, all right, I gotta pull the reins back. I can't let that because then that Athletic report about him maybe getting cut came out. So I stopped doing it. But then 2 weeks ago, Rogers pumped the Watkins bag. He said there's definitely going to be opportunities for him to make plays in this offense. I think he has everything right in front of him to be as productive a year as he wants. I really enjoy playing with him, which is like most quarterbacks. I'd be like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But Rodgers is like, dude, if he doesn't like you, you literally are not getting the ball. It doesn't matter what you do.
And we've seen that every single year.
He's chased dudes out of the NFL straight up as been like, you can't be on my team.
MVS got paid a bunch of money to go play for the best team in the NFL, give or take. The best team in the NFL. He's been playing with a Hall of Fame quarterback for years. And that dude hated him.
But he dropped a pass his rookie year, and so they were like, "All right, you can only be on the outside, and you can only run this one route." Because honestly, probably the coaching staff, like in their back of their heads, they're like, "We probably like they know Rodgers is just not going to throw him the ball if he's running these routes." So they're like, "Well, shit, we got to have Alan Lazard or Amari Rodgers or Randall Cobb run these routes because MVS could be wide open, and Rodgers is just going to
Sammy Watkins Sammy Watkins."
Yeah,
because he won't throw. He won't. And Rodgers won't. It could not be a greater transition for a player from Aaron Rodgers, I want to throw the fewest amount of interceptions in the NFL every single year, so I'm not going to take any chances, to Patrick Mahomes, where I'm going to run around like an absolute madman and I'll throw the ball off my back leg 60 yards across the field, which is like, you know, the number one no for quarterbacks. And that's like perfect for MVS. But anyway, I think this is my first Sammy share, which really makes me sad. How do you like to structure your teams here. So we are at 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 5 running backs, and 7 wide receivers with 4 rounds to go.
Normally in the 20-round format, I still take a third tight end, even if I have ones I like.
Okay. Well, we're not doing Gronk. I don't really love these tight ends here. We can come back to it. We got 10 seconds.
What do we got? What do we got at click a wide receiver real quick?
I'm putting Nico in there. Are you a Julio guy or Mechie?
Yeah, these guys. Julio is Pringle. Actually,
Pringle
is who I like. Yeah, I don't care between Pringle and.
We took Nico because we timed up, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't care.
That's okay. Same difference. What's the difference between Byron Pringle and Nico Collins?
Well,
really?
The market has not realized this yet, but Byron Pringle is a starting wide receiver.
Yeah.
On the Chicago Bears
with Justin Fields. Last year we were like steaming Justin Fields up the board with Trey Lance and like really excited for all of this. Allen Robinson was the 3rd round pick. Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, David Montgomery. The entire Bears offense was expensive last year. This year, because Matt Nagy just ruined the entire franchise and Fields was not very good. I agree. This year, we're like, nope. The Bears are the worst offense in the NFL. We're drafting him.
Well, they probably will be because I think it's like by design that they're going to really stink. But Pringle's. He's also pretty. I think Pringle's.
Why? But are they tanking?
I think they're just pressing the reset button, and I think they're like, we don't really care about the results on the field this year. I just think it's one of those.
A Fields growth year type of thing, and
that's the thing is if Fields is, it's like if he can be the rose that grows through the crack in the concrete, then they have their quarterback. But if he stinks this year, it's not like I don't think they're going to be like I don't think this is going to be a Giant situation or a Jet situation where they give him all these weapons next year. I just think they're just going to take whatever they get with Fields, but they're not married to him by any degree, I don't think.
So talk about it, the 3 tight end really quick thing. Even with, I guess this is totally fine actually with Alberto and Hawk, but are you doing it with
even with Kelsey or Andrews? I'm doing it because how different are the distributions going to be between Austin Hooper and John Mechie? Like probably pretty similar distributions. And if you do happen to run into 2 really good tight end weeks, you can use both those points. It'll never happen. Like the odds of you getting 2 tight ends who both score double digits are so low because most weeks tight ends don't score double digits. And again, taking a 0 at one of these positions, if your guys both happen to be out, can't really come back from that. You got to be earning these points every single week. Whereas in a playoff format, I think we need a running back here.
Hilarious that we're on a stream, and I do like James White, Chris Evans,
Chris Evans is who I would take. I've been Chris Evans pilled by Norris.
Yep. So shout out to Josh Norris. I love Josh, and I also love that we disagree on the week 17 thing, and it made him so mad.
He's so mad. It's so funny. Did you watch the stream where I like broke his soul?
Yes.
Yes. Poor guy.
It led to some like almost angry replies back and forth between like I love Josh and Hayden are 2 of my favorite people in this entire industry, and they are so good for this entire space. But their brains got broken like from that day forward for like a week or whatever, and like it actually led to like a little bit of like hostile back and forth, where I was like, are you guys okay? Like I feel like there's a little bit of hostility here. You're like mad about the fact that like we're leaning on this week 17 thing, even though your company created this environment. I didn't ask for this. You guys they could have done what drafters did and created this format where we would never, ever, ever talk about week 17.
Josh is he's old school, dude. He's like player takes. He wants to know.
He's also very good at it. He's also very good at it.
Yeah, he's had a lot of success, like identifying who is going to be good or bad at football. And obviously, you have to do that too. But like I always divide people into like, do you like fantasy football or do you like football? Like, do you like games or do you like football? And Josh likes football, and I like football too, but I like games more. Like I like games. I like gambling more than I like football.
It's one of my favorite quotes that our good friend Peter Overzet said on a show with me months ago, where he's like, people like to be right more than people like to make money in these games that we're playing. Yeah. We're playing a game. We're playing a strategy game, but people prefer to play the prediction game, the player take game, and that's fine. And like you said, in this format, it's a little bit different because you do, at the end of the day, in this format, if you don't find this year's Cooper Kupp and this year's Mark Andrews
You're
and
dust.
this year's,
You are completely dust. Yes.
so it matters more. But in Underdog, again, for we'll get to this in a second. Third tight end, pretty gross. Pretty gross.
I think we just I think we take
Don't say
Jonnu.
Gronk.
No, I think we take Jonnu.
I'm down to take Jonnu. You prefer Jonnu here over a running? Yeah, let's do Jonnu, so and then do either a running back or wide receiver.
Funnily enough, I would have taken Dulcich just because I have been like backdoor poisoned by Pat.
Yeah.
But we already have Alberto.
Yeah.
But Dulcich is generally in a 20-round draft, whether it be here on DraftKings, Dulcich is a lot of the guy I'm taking as third tight end, which I don't even think is good. I literally just think it's like I have an opinion about that guy, whereas like I don't have an opinion on Jesper Horsted or Ricky Seals-Jones. Like I just don't have opinions on those guys.
I do have an opinion on Ricky Seals-Jones for the people in the chat. He's the backup to Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah, Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah, Daniel Bellinger is I'm trying to force myself. So I like the elite tight ends, like basically all the way through Goddard. I actually still call Goddard an elite tight end. I like all of the really good tight ends like we drafted here. I also really like Alberto. I'm on your side of the Alberto debate. But I'm trying to force myself into some of these guys and like the Daniel Bellingers of the world, where I'm like, dude, we talk about ambiguous situations as it pertains to like backfields usually. But like we have multiple tight end situations that are like kind of ambiguous. And some of them are like really potentially profitable situations, but we just avoid them because they're ambiguous. But backfields, we're like diving in, right? All the Dolphins running backs get drafted because it's ambiguous. Tight ends, it's like no Giants tight ends get drafted. But like, what if Daniel Bellinger is Dawson Knox? Like the same thing of Dawson Knox on the Giants, or the Colts. No Colts tight ends get drafted. There's no target competition in Indianapolis, but we don't draft any of the tight ends because we don't know. We just throw our hands up, right? It's Mo Alley Cox, it's Kylan Granson, it's Jelani Woods. We don't know, but like I'm trying to force myself to take some more of those guys because I think the payoff is like so exponential. It's crazy.
So I probably would disagree with the exponential payoff because these guys are like never beating 150 PPR points. You know, it's like so maybe. Like I would maybe even buy it more on like DK or on Underdog, where like 3 for 30 and a touchdown in week 17 might be good.
Or just 3 for 30 and 2 is like tournament winning from your 18th round pick.
But in this format, it's like the distribution of points between Gerald Everett and Daniel Bellinger are basically going to be the same. I think we take another wide receiver here.
Wide receiver, I think so too. Let's look through here really.
Devin Duvernay is my last round guy. I don't know if he's gone. Jesus. Devin Duvernay and Tylan Wallace are my Dubes, Tylan Wallace. Yeah, I mean
Dubes, Tylan Wallace. Let's bet on the Packers. Let's do the Dubes thing and just kind of obviously it's our 9th wide receiver. If it takes 2 shots on goal to find that guy on the Packers, again, I think this is okay in all formats. But on here, it's like if we burned Sammy Watkins to find Dubes, that's fine. That's totally fine. Like you just want to find the guy.
If those guys combine for 180 points in our lineup or whatever, it's like a massive, even 100 points. If those guys combine to give us 100 points that get in our lineup, huge smash.
Yeah, and that's I do think that's a slight difference where we talk about like drafting like you're right or whatever on the other sites where you do have to be a little bit like I don't want to like cut off the ceiling case for another one of the players that I've drafted, but on here it's like I just want to hit like the Green Bay is a situation where we don't know what's going to happen. I mean maybe it's neither of these guys and that's okay, but like maybe either they ping pong, maybe they're both starting, right? Maybe they're both playing, or we just took 2 shots to find one guy, and I think that's more than okay. And it's a little bit different. It's kind of like handcuffing almost your wide receivers, but with super late round picks. Like if you could handcuff a backfield with a 17th and a 20th round pick. Would you do it? Probably. I probably would.
I do that. I do the hand cucking at running back all the time.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
I think it's one of those things where when we're doing best ball like 3 years from now, we'll have the data to show that when you adjust for price, it's like obviously Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon or Zeke and Pollard is horrible, but Elijah Mitchell and Tyrion Davis Price or Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson or how about CMC in his 18th round backup? You like literally I cannot be convinced that CMC and Foreman is a negative correlation.
See, that one's so interesting to me. I have not been able to come around to that yet. I'm very much so obviously McKinnon got signed. To use your words, funnily enough, I've started taking some Rojo McKinnon teams. So like Rojo in the
I think that's clearly good.
Rojo 12th, McKinnon 17th or whatever round. And it's like it's strictly a bet against CEH. It's like if CEH stinks, like if CEH plays, fine. He can still get hurt and I can win. But if CEH stinks and Rojo is the early down guy and McKinnon is the passing down guy, I'm winning. I think they can both help me, and then I can have the playoff potential. And I mean, I think it can work on drafters too. My struggle is your CEH example. Definitely the Zeke Pollard thing, and it is too tough for me. Dylan Jones, because cost is that's a crazy cost. But I struggle to how you have to thread the needle with like CMC Foreman because
I'll tell you how to thread it. How? CMC misses week 15. Not a catastrophic injury, just is on the COVID list, bangs his ankle up, whatever. He misses 1 week. CMC teams die on the vine because they just lost their first round pick. You get 14 points from Foreman that week. You advance to week 16, and all of a sudden you have a super rare CMC in the semifinal.
That's such a like you have to predict a player getting.
Let's even say
missing one specific week for the entire season.
What's your mean scoring return on an 18th round pick? My guess
is nothing.
But
the payoff on other guys is much greater, right? You find
Cordell Patterson or whatever. Sure.
Yeah, Rashad Penny, Elijah Mitchell.
I would say probably even the better scenario is that's less hyper specific is CMC misses 3 weeks and Foreman averages 16 points a game in the 3 games. That
like
CMC
half
misses.
the season, maybe even like. That's a slight exaggeration, but like he misses week 6 through 11 or something like that. And like every other CMC team is literally dust because he missed almost the whole regular season.
That's really only it. And so that's why like when you're adjusting, that's why like Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon wouldn't make any sense or Zeke and Pollard wouldn't make any sense because you're giving up a 9th round pick or a 12th round pick or Dalvin or Madison even though Madison is like an automatic 25 any game that Dalvin misses. But when it's like or Joe Mixon and Chris Evans, Derrick Henry and Hassan Haskins, like these guys where the market is like uncertain on who the backup is, so you can get him for the 18th rounder. Like I just even you could literally show me math. Like Hayden could run one of his fucking charts and be like, actually, this is bad, and I'd be like, it's not. Actually, it's actually not.
I love that because I have a lot of those takes. That's like the only place that Hayden and I disagree. Where he's a very data backed.
Guy. I use like Hayden, like the 3 tight end thing. I was trying to make this point. I didn't get there, which is like Hayden shows that even with 18 man roster spots, a 3rd tight end is good. So with 20 man, it's got to be because the opportunity cost of a roster spot going to a low scoring tight end is less. Like an underdog, you're giving up a running back or a wide receiver. But here, you're still getting those big positional allocations with the same starting lineup. So the 3rd tight end is good.
And on this team, we have the elite quarterback. We have a borderline elite tight end, but not really. TJ Hawkinson's not really, he's not Darren Waller, George Kittle, Travis Kelce. So let's team review really quick, and then we'll give away this ticket. So we started Dalvin Cook out of the 7 spot, and then went to Mike Evans. You snap called Dalvin Cook and Mike Evans. Can you talk like super quickly about those are your guys right there?
I mean, Dalvin, I think Dalvin with like no head coaching turnover and the weird legal thing where the domestic violence thing that doesn't seem. I think he's the second pick.
Oh,
I mean,
third
over
maybe.
Well, Jonathan. To me, Jonathan Taylor is not the 101. He's just not. Like
CMC is.
CMC
So you would
is.
go back to the ADP of last year
and then
put CMC in behind, or put Jonathan Taylor in behind the 101 and 102 of last year.
I would, because Dalvin's got to be a minus 150 favorite to catch more passes than Jonathan Taylor.
Oh yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So that
new. I mean, he's got the Rams offense now.
It's and this guy. So like, I think there's maybe worries of continuity, but this guy who the Vikings hired is the guy who made Kirk Cousins good for the Washington football team. He was his offensive coordinator there. So it's like they're just all in on doing what they're like. They're just want to accentuate what they do well already. And I think maybe the market is thinking like, oh, maybe they'll run less. But I would say that's probably good. Like we don't need.
It is good.
We don't need Dalvin to get 22 carries, like 16 carries with 5 targets, and the goal line work is fine.
It is good. Also, I don't think people know that McVay came from the Redskins football team.
They don't know that Kevin O'Connell was ahead of McVay. McVay was the quarterback's coach, and Kevin O'Connell was the OC.
The Wonder Kid.
Yeah,
was Sean McVay. So then we go after we hit Mike Evans, we come back to Mike Williams and Cam Akers, which was a fun kind of conversation and debate. Patrick Mahomes falls to the middle of the 5th round, and we just scoop that up to set up a Chief stack. End up with Elijah Moore, MVS, TJ Hawkinson, trying to follow the board here. But anyway, CPAT, Rashad Penny, Isaiah Spiller, and Chris Evans at running back, Corey Davis to fill out a Jet stack, George Pickens, Sammy Watkins, Nico Collins, and Romeo Doubs for a little bit of a Packers bet with Alberto and Jonnu Smith for a three tight end build. I am going to ask you before we start to get out of here is the Jonnu take. I want to know the Jonnu take.
Well, it's basically just that I look at the Patriots roster. I looked at it. I love this fucking tweet that Hayden had. So Hayden was like, if the Patriots ran a 53-man race as a team against every other team, a 53-man relay race, the Patriots would be 32 out of 32. They'd be last, and I still think they're probably last. I don't know anything about their defense.
Taekwon helps.
Taekwon helps. But I'm looking at their roster and I'm like, Jonnu is still the most dynamic guy there. He's still like, they go through the whole offseason. And, they talked about, there was a Nesson article about, maybe they want to turn him into use check where he's like an H-back and he's getting some carries. And I'm like, that's not terrible. He's got a little bit of contingent value with Hunter Henry, but mostly I just think he's good. Like, and I never show David Kitchen this part of the show, but mostly I just think he's good. Like, I think he should get the ball more. And their depth chart is they have the most bloated depth chart in football, probably. They have like 6 wide receivers who have to make the team and like 9 running backs. But it just feels like he should be on the field and get even if he gets the ball 50 times, what does that come with? Like 4 touchdowns, probably.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. He might rush for 2 touchdowns.
So I take him here sometimes and on DK sometimes. Never haven't taken him on Underdog yet because you can get Hunter Henry in like the 14th there. But yeah, that's all it is.
So just to wrap up,
the chat is with us on this Dalvin take, by the way.
I know they really are.
And there's no reason to take Derrick Henry over Dalvin. Literally not one. And it's bad.
Did I lose you or did I lose myself?
Your AirPods shut off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I lost my ear. I was telling Davis before that I'm having fucking AirPod problems, and in the midst I'm like freaking out because I can't hear him anymore, and then I start to hear my speakers over here with Davis's voice. So all I was gonna say, really, to wrap up the Patriots thing, they were 7th in DVOA offense last year. I believe Josh and Hayden.
DVOA is really weighted towards successful plays, though. So you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt because the Patriots don't have very many incompletions.
Right, but still, they were at worst and above average offense. What would you say? At worst and above average offense, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it's just anytime they got down 10 points, it was like they were dust
Yeah.
down 10. Yeah.
What would you say if we took out that Bills game where they threw one pass or whatever?
I mean, my guess is if you take that maybe the worst football game I've ever watched
Oh my God.
away. My guess is they're like a top 5 DVOA offense.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were, I believe, again, apologies if I'm misquoting, they're 7th in points per game or top 5 in points per game.
So that's skewed too because they put up 50 burgers against one was for sure against the Browns, and I want to say one of those Jets games they did too. But it was like JJ Taylor had 3 rushing touchdowns in one of those games. Like it just, which will happen twice this year. I don't know who it's coming against. I don't know what, but one of those games, the Patriots are going to rush 43 times for 287 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, that is definitely true. But we know that there's points to be had in the offense. Maybe it is one of the socialist offenses, and
no, it's very similar to the Chiefs offense where all the guys are too cheap because the market doesn't have any certainty, and 2 or 3 of the guys are gonna destroy their price tags, but the rest of them are gonna be huge busts.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you might get 0 points from Devontae Parker,
yes,
or something like that.
Literally, Devontae Parker might never make your best ball lineup.
Yeah,
Tyquan Thornton might make your best ball lineup 3 times because he catches a 70-yard touchdown or whatever. But that's like kind of the point is that it's an offense we've identified we know is going to be pretty good. The quarterback doesn't run, so he's not going to siphon any of that production away. So it's just the fact that literally every position on the team is uncertain. That they are the cheapest offense in fantasy football, and they're for sure a top 10 offense. So like I just want to keep drafting those guys. So like John, like give me some Jonnu. You talked about Hunter Henry and all of that. Like just give me all these guys. Ramondre, I think, is my highest owned.
Ramondre, I do these hits with people on their shows or whatever, and I'm like, they ask you for the league winner. Ramondre's been my answer.
I agree. You're also a homer because he's an
Alabama,
but
he's a piece of shit.
Oklahoma bro.
He is. He's a piece of shit though. He got in trouble when he was at Oklahoma, so I'm not even claiming that on him. Same way with Mixon, right? Mixon was at OU, but he fucking broke the rules. Yeah, Mixon's an asshole, so we don't claim them. Also,
they swept the Mixon thing under the rug like crazy.
Well, they good. You know what? You know who's not going to do that? Will Venables. Good Salina boys from the same city as me. They're going to suck now. Sooners are going to suck now. It's brutal.
It's a lot. All right, we are going to give away this ticket now. Thanks to you guys for hanging out and listening to probably all of our bad takes. We got our entrance here. Let me spin the wheel and see who's winning this puppy. Carlos says he only drafts players with criminal histories. Alan S. I'll be honest with you. I don't know who you are. I don't think you posted anything in the chat. Please contact me, or I will try to contact you as best I can. Hit me up on Twitter. At me on Twitter. I'll find you. Or if you're in the Spike Week Discord, it'd be actually much easier if you find me there. I will get you hooked up with your free ticket to this drafters tournament. That was a lot of fun, Davis. Let's see if we can do this a few more times over the summer. What do you got going on over the next few weeks?
Next few weeks are good for me. It's all gonna be good until like the start of August, and then I gotta get I'm getting married and shit. Yep. So it's like, do you actually know this? Can I draft best balls internationally?
You cannot enter. You can you could probably enter a bunch of slows and draft while you're gone.
Have you noticed this? When my teams, when I do the slow drafts, are bad. It's like I'm not in my rhythm or whatever, so I'm just like clicking and I'm not thinking about it. It's like but I've noticed that all my slow teams have a different texture and like look worse than my fast teams.
I have the same thing where in theory you're like, oh, it's a slow draft. I can look through all of who's available and all the correlations, and I can make optimal decisions. But I never actually make the. It's like I log into the slow, and I'm like, I just pick whoever's at the top of the queue or whatever. I'm not actually using what should be the things that are beneficial in the slow draft to my advantage. So it's like, why the fuck do I do the slow drafts in the first place if I'm not doing the
I don't
things
even
that are
know my
actually
I don't even know my logic for doing the slow drafts, honestly.
No, I don't either. I don't do them anymore. I don't do them. I don't
Pete
do
used to be a slow draft maxi. He's been converted.
I know. We called him a beta boy enough over
Yeah.
last offseason.
Also, it's just like you have a finite number of bullets anyways, and I like to do drafts like when I'm doing something to make the time go faster, like driving or working out or whatever. So it's like I don't want to just waste it. I like you gotta store up your dopamine. You can't be wasting those dopamine hits. You know what I mean?
I've also mastered the skill of drafting while walking the dogs. And so
Classic.
I feel it's like it's a habit. It's like when I start to walk the dogs, I get like the itch to like enter a draft. You know what 100%. I mean? It's weird. It's weird what Underdog and then drafters and these sites have done to me.
Yeah, they give us the Pavlovian response to slide. Do you on Underdog, do you click the name and draft or do you swipe?
Click the name.
I swipe.
You swipe? Really?
Yeah.
I think you're the first swiper I've ever met. You're the first swiper.
Yeah. So like my like in draft like meta is I start from my first pick, right? So I take whoever, then I star all their teammates, then I star all their week 17 opponents, then I make my second round pick and I do the same thing, then I make my third round pick and my fourth round pick, and by the time I made my fourth round pick, a lot of the times you should have at least 6 teams starred, all the way through.
Right.
So then you pretty much have a guy you're taking at every pick. Like it's the distributions are like you kind of already know. And then you can start to backfill. So it's like, okay, I have this Chiefs stack set up, so I'm not going to take another quarterback early. So I got to go star the late round guys. So I got to star Hunter Henry and Mac Jones. I got to star Zach Wilson and Corey Davis or Daniel Jones and Wandale. And it's like basically by the time I made my 5th pick, I already know what my team is going to be.
If 18-year-old Davis Mattek heard what you just said,
he'd be so bummed out, dude.
Yeah.
He'd be so bummed out. He'd be like, dude, that's not how you're supposed to play the game, bro.
Like this is. Are you?
Josh
Norris
just felt a tremor. He just felt a disturbance in the force. He was like, something.
He's probably not watching because it's not a company show. But he just got up and fucking walked away like that. Like, how is that how you play fantasy football? But
I know, it's so funny.
Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us. Shout out to Alan for winning the free ticket. And replying, Alan, we'll talk in the Discord. We'll bring Davis back plenty over the course of the summer. We got 3 months. We got 3 months to draft these teams and plenty more drafters teams. Everybody have a great weekend. I always like to do this for my dogs who luckily for the first time in like the 100 streams did not make an appearance. This dude didn't move. I was almost like wondering if he was still alive because he did not move over here, but they did not make an appearance. And obviously for Davis's dogs as well. We will see you guys next time.